Avatar 2 is quickly approaching. A lot of people are getting excited about it. I think the trailers have looked beautiful. I mean, there's no denying the trailers have looked absolutely spectacular. I think they look great. But the trailers haven't really been showing me or telling me what the movie's even about, really. Not really. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I never doubt James Cameron because he always delivers at the end of the day. That's what James Cameron always does. He delivers. But, I've been wondering, how good is this movie going to be? Well, the critic reviews for Avatar 2 don't come out for another couple of weeks, I think. But there's already one reaction and review online. And that is the reaction and the review by Guillermo del Toro. I guess James Cameron let Guillermo del Toro go and sit down and watch Avatar 2. And Guillermo del Toro is raving about it. Absolutely raving about it. Now, I'm going to read some of the stuff here. This is in IndieWire. But here's what IndieWire wrote about this. Critics won't weigh in on James Cameron's highly anticipated Avatar sequel for a few more weeks, but if Guillermo del Toro is to be believed, then the boundary-pushing water adventure will surely dazzle audiences and the box office come December 16th. This is what del Toro said. A staggering achievement, del Toro tweeted on Thursday about Avatar: The Way of Water, is chock full of majestic vistas and emotions at an epic, epic scale. A master at the peak of his powers. Let me read that again. This is what Guillermo del Toro said about this movie. A staggering achievement. Avatar: The Way of Water is chock full of majestic vistas and emotions at an epic, epic scale. A master at the peak of his powers. Now, again, this isn't coming from John Campea or some Gus's gas station movie reviews .fart. This is Guillermo del Toro saying this. Now, you might want to take that with a little grain of salt. I get it if you do. I think Guillermo del Toro, obviously he knows James Cameron, probably friends with James Cameron, and so assumedly he wouldn't want to get online and start talking crap about a friend of his movies, stuff like that, right? That being said, I also don't think Guillermo del Toro is going to come out and lie to his fans. I mean, if del Toro watched Avatar: The Way of Water and didn't like it, I'm 100% sure he wouldn't get on Twitter and say, wow, I just watched Avatar 2 and it sucks. Like, I'm sure del Toro wouldn't do that. But I'm sure he just probably wouldn't tweet about it at all. He probably just wouldn't say a thing. Like, I know if a buddy of mine, and this has happened, because, I've had friends of mine make movies that I did not think was very good. And instead of coming out and saying, wow, this movie was garbage, I saw an early thing of this, and I just didn't say anything. Like, I would just be quiet about it. I would just let my silence do my speaking for me. And so I got to assume here if del Toro didn't like Avatar or thought it was okay or whatever, he just wouldn't have done anything. He just would have said to James Cameron, hey man, well done. Good job on your movie. I'm glad you did it. All the success in the world, blah, 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 blah. But then not tweet something about it. Instead, he comes out raving about it and talking about how great it is and all this kind of stuff. And again, you take all that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But at the same time, I think it's pretty impressive. Again, look, how good is this movie going to be? It's hard to say because it is a movie that we don't even know what it's about at this point. We've seen the original film. Almost, everybody liked the original film. I know it's the cool thing today to say that, oh, Avatar wasn't that good. Avatar was that good. It shouldn't have won Best Picture or anything, but it was a remarkable pop cultural defining kind of movie that everybody loved. And just to remind everybody, is the number one film of all time. So it's great. A lot of people looking forward to it. How well it's going to do at the box office, you heard me and Rob talk about this the other day. I think it's going to have a really, really solid opening weekend. I still don't think this movie makes $2 billion, which is fine. Only 5 movies in history have made $2 billion. 2 of them are James Cameron movies, Titanic and Avatar. But I do think it's going to be hugely successful. But how successful it's going to be is going to be completely dependent on how good or bad the movie is. And again, like IndieWires is saying, if Guillermo del Toro is to be believed, he's saying it's an epic scale, both visually and emotionally. He says the movie is an example of a master at the peak of his powers. And again, I'm just saying, we got to see what the movie's going to be like ourselves. We got to see what the critics are going to say about it. But hey, if Guillermo del Toro is going to come out and say that the movie's awesome, that's a pretty good start. Would we all agree that that's a pretty good start if Del Toro says the movie's awesome? Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Guillermo del Toro saying that Avatar 2, The Way of Water, is epic and the example of a master filmmaker at the height of his powers? Does that make you more excited for Avatar? Maybe you take it with a grain of salt. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts.